Welcome to my channel, where every word is an invitation to soften, to listen inward, and to remember a part of yourself that's been waiting quietly to be heard. If you ever felt your voice catch in your throat, if you ever stood in front of others and forgotten how to breathe, this story is for you. Because public speaking isn't about being seen, it's about being received. So, as you settle in and let the story unfold, you may notice it becomes easier to relax, to imagine yourself already becoming the kind of person who speaks with calm, quiet confidence. And as you begin to feel that shift, you might just subscribe to this channel now, so that every time your voice needs a place to rest, you'll know exactly where to return. So let's begin. The voice that waited behind the door. A hypnotic story about finding confidence in speaking out loud. Her name was Mel, and for most of her life, her voice had lived behind a door. Not locked, just waiting. Quiet, careful, like a bird perched just outside the cage. Not because it couldn't fly, but because it wasn't sure the sky would listen. She wasn't always quiet, not really. As a child, Mel had stories, big, bright ones that spilled out of her in colors. She would talk to trees, to strangers, to shadows on the wall. But somewhere along the way, someone laughed at the wrong time. Someone looked at their watch. Someone said, "Calm down, that's too much." And slowly, the words that used to come rushing out like rivers began to trickle, then pause, then curl themselves up, waiting behind the door. She still had things to say, still had a voice. But when it came time to stand in front of a room, when eyes turned like sunflowers towards her, her breath would catch, right in the space between knowing and saying. Her heart would race ahead of her, and the door would stay closed. It wasn't fear of people. It wasn't fear of being seen too clearly, of standing there with her ideas naked in the light, where they could be misunderstood, dismissed, ignored. She didn't fear speaking. She feared not being heard. So she stayed small in conversations, soft in meetings, chose maybe when she meant yes, and I don't know when she absolutely did. Until one night, something changed. Not dramatically, not loudly. It was during a workshop, a simple one on storytelling, ironically. They sat in a circle, no stage, no spotlight, just people and presence. The instructor asked, "What's a moment you've never spoken out loud, but wish someone had heard?" She stood up, and everything inside her trembled. But here's the thing, the trembling was not fear. It was energy. It was the body preparing to release something that had lived inside her for so long. She began to speak, not perfectly, not smoothly, but honestly, and the room changed. Not the walls, not the lights, but the attention. People leaned in, not because she was loud, but because she was real. And in that moment, the door inside clicked, quietly, and opened. Because the voice doesn't live in the throat, it lives in the permission. And when that's given, everything changes. That night, she dreamt of a room, a wide, sunlit room with many chairs. Each chair held a version of herself. One was 7 years old, clutching a paper she had never read out loud in class. Another was 12, cheeks burning after being mocked for talking weird. Another was 23, with a brilliant idea she stayed silent about in a meeting where someone else said it first. They all looked up as Mel entered. She didn't say anything at first. She just walked to each one and knelt. She said, "It's okay now." And every version exhaled, like wind finally let out of lungs held too long. Then one stood, the oldest version. She looked free. "I've been waiting for you to listen to us," she said, "and now we can speak together." The room of chairs faded, but the voice remained. And when Mel woke up, there was something different inside her chest. From then on, whenever she spoke in public, Mel didn't think of it as a performance. She thought of it as returning to every part of herself that had ever felt silenced, and giving up her microphone. She prepared, of course, she practiced, but she also softened. She realized that public speaking wasn't about being perfect. It was about being willing to be present, to be seen, to share something, even a whisper, truthfully. And the more she practiced, the more her body learned. This is safe now. This is not the past. The breath became easier. The shaking lessened. And when the butterflies returned, she didn't push them away. She just rode them in like waves pulling her into rhythm. Eventually, Mel began teaching others, not with rules or tricks, but with stories. She'd say, "Your voice is not a tool. It's an instrument. It doesn't need sharpening. It needs tuning to safety, to trust, to meaning." She'd guide people to find the door inside them, and rather than kicking it down, she'd ask, "What would happen if you knocked gently? What if your voice was not something you forced out, but something you invited back in?" And often, in the silence that followed, something beautiful would happen. A crack, a breath, a tremble of truth. Because when you learn to speak from the deepest part of you, not to impress, not to prove, but to connect, people feel it. And so does your nervous system. The voice settles, the heart steadies, and the door becomes a window. Clear, open, honest. A place not just to speak through, but to be seen through. Maybe you felt it too. That place inside where your voice waits. Not because it's broken, but because it's been waiting for the right kind of listening. And maybe now is the time to open the door. Not all at once, not with force, but like sunlight through morning curtains, gradually, gently, with reverence. Because the world doesn't need a louder voice. It needs truer ones. It needs yours. And even now, as you sit with this story, you might feel a little warmth in your chest, a stir in your throat, a quiet knowing that when you are ready, your voice will not betray you. It will carry you, steady, strong, true, just like it has always wanted to. Hypnotic induction, opening the door to your voice. Let's begin by getting comfortable. Let your body begin to settle, not all at once, but like sand finding stillness after the waves have passed. And as you listen to these words, allow them to wash over you. You might notice a part of you already beginning to soften, to drop beneath the surface of thinking into something quieter, something deeper. Perhaps you can start by noticing the breath, not controlling it, just meeting it, like an old friend arriving at the door. Inhale gently, and as you exhale, you might imagine releasing something you no longer need to hold. Because the body remembers, and it also knows how to let go. With every breath now, you can imagine drawing in a kind of ease and releasing the effort. Inhaling calm, exhaling tension. And if you're ready to scan your body from the crown of your head down to the throat, to the chest, the stomach, and all the way down to the tips of your toes, you might begin to notice where the voice has been hiding, where it paused, where it curled up and waited. There's no need to force it, just noticing. And somewhere deep inside, you might imagine a door. Not a door you need to kick open, but a door you can gently approach. It's the door to your voice. The part of you that once knew how to speak with color, with rhythm, with certainty that mattered. Maybe the door is old. Maybe it's been closed a while. But just for now, you don't have to open it. You can just sit beside it. Place your hand on the wood. Feel its warmth, its story. It's waiting. And maybe, with just the right kind of breath, it begins to shift. You might hear a sound behind it, a whisper, a memory, a younger version of you humming softly to herself. You're not forcing your voice out. you're inviting it back in. Because your voice doesn't live in the throat. It lives in the truth. It lives in the safety of being received. So now, imagine stepping into a space where you are received completely. A room where every version of you, every age, every silence, every skipped moment is welcome. Let that space fill with warmth and light. Let your nervous system recognize this is safe now. And with every breath, you can feel your voice returning, not as performance, but as presence. You don't need to be loud. You only need to be true. Because your voice is not a spotlight. It's a bridge. And when you stand on it, others feel something they forgot they were missing. So now, as you drift deeper, or simply rest, know that your voice is with you. Even when you pause, even when you forget, even when you tremble, it will wait with you and walk with you and rise when you're ready. You are safe to speak. You are safe to be heard. You are safe to matter. And as you begin to return, or linger just a little longer in this stillness, let a small part of you smile. Because the door is open now, and what lives inside you has always known the way out. So here are the key meanings to the story. Number 1, your voice is a living part of you, not a performance. The story reframes public speaking as self-expression rather than a performance. It emphasizes that your voice is not something you put on to impress others. It's something you reconnect with to reveal yourself. The door metaphor reminds the listener that their voice has always been there, waiting, not lost. Number 2, silencing often comes from subtle wounds. Mel's story reflects how even small, seemingly forgettable moments, like being laughed at, ignored, or told she was too much, can lead to a quiet, long-term suppression of voice. This helps the listener gently recognize the emotional origins of their hesitation, without shame or blame. Number 3, safety is a prerequisite for expression. The theme underscores that nervousness in public speaking isn't about the fear of judgment. It's often about the lack of felt safety. The body remembers past moments of not being received and tightens to protect. The story helps the listener honor their nervous system while gently inviting safety back into the body. Number 4, speaking as a form of inner integration. When Mel meets different versions of herself in the room of many chairs, it symbolizes inner reintegration. Each age she silenced herself at is now seen, honored, and reinvited into the present moment. Number 5, vulnerability creates connection. Instead of encouraging polished perfection, the story shows how authentic vulnerability is what draws people in. When Mel speaks honestly, not flawlessly. She is heard more deeply. This teaches that truth builds trust. Number 6. Public speaking is a return, not a leap. The story reframes public speaking as a returning to self rather than stepping into a spotlight. This shift erases pressure, reorients expectations, and invites listeners to consider that their voice is not something they have to go find. It's something they already are. Number 7. The body can learn a new story. Through breath, imagery, and gentle metaphor, the story shows that the nervous system can be retrained. What once felt unsafe, speaking, can be repaired with new sensations of calm and presence. This encourages somatic reprogramming without harsh effort. Number 8. There is power in quiet truth. Mal's shift from hesitation to grounded expression demonstrates that a person doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Presence speaks louder than volume. This offers comfort to introverts, empaths, and anyone who's been told they need to be more to be taken seriously. And maybe now you felt it too, that soft returning, as if your voice has taken one step closer to being fully, freely yours again. If this story stirred something inside you, if it helped you breathe a little deeper, or made space for a part of you that's been waiting to be heard, then you already know. This is just the beginning. So, go ahead and subscribe now to this channel so you can return whenever you need a place to remember who you are beneath the silence. Your voice belongs, and I'll be here whenever you're ready to speak again. Until next time, be well.